Hi, this is Jen with Jen's Ink Spot. Thanks for joining me today. Today I want to show you a few different ways that you can use this new die by Lil Inker Designs called the Rapper's Delight Lattice die. And it is a lot of fun, and I've just had a great time playing with it, so I wanted to share some ideas with you so you could see how versatile this die is. First of all, when you use this die, this is what the cut is going to look like. The reason that this is named Rapper's Delight Lattice die is because you can wrap it around a card front or an envelope. So here's a sample of an envelope that I've cut this die out of pattern paper, and then I've wrapped it around the flap on the envelope. It just creates a fun little pattern on the front, and it continues that pattern on the back. And then I found that the Lil Inker Design stitched alphabet dies work perfect in the middle of this die. Another way that I use this die is I used it as a background. And so I cut two of these with off-white cardstock. I cut them in half, and then I use it as a background. And it's off-white on off-white, so it creates a nice background and it doesn't overpower the focal image on my card. The other way is I was kind of inspired by rainbows for this release, and so I cut out a whole bunch of different colors of cardstock with this die. And for this one, I decided I wanted to try a rainbow, and so again, about every 2 squares, I cut apart where they're connected, and then I glued those on top of a base that I had cut out of white. It was easier to line them up that way if I had lined them on top of something. I used the new So Thankful label die and So Thankful stamps for the sentiment here in the middle, and I stamped those on vellum, and it just gave it a fun little look. After I had die cut all of those, I had this beautiful pile of scraps here, and that was the next thing that inspired me. I just didn't want all of those to go to waste. In fact, I'll probably save these for another project because I can hardly bear to throw them out. So what I did is I wanted to create a rainbow with the inside pieces. So I started by taking the die and I just impressed the die onto a piece of scratch paper. This is white cardstock. And then I made notes as to where I wanted to place each of the different colors that I used. And that made it so easy when I went to line up my card. This is what I came up with. So I knew exactly that I wanted the turquoise to go here because I had made a note of it on this piece of paper that I had impressed with the design. It was just so much easier. I didn't start with it like that, and I quickly realized that it would go so much faster if I had a guide. So I created that guide, and it was really easy. And then the sentiment is from the feather set that Lil Inker Designs also sells. I love the bold sentiments and fonts in that set. So again, looking back at these little pieces, I also thought they looked a lot like confetti, and we all know that confetti and shaker cards are very in right now, so I wanted to do something using those pieces. So I decided to make a shaker balloon. This was really easy. I found some pre-made shaker card pouches. The nice thing that I found with this is that the Lil Inker Design dual stitch circles dies, if you use the third largest one, it cuts perfectly around this pouch. So this card was so super simple, and I know it probably looks like it was so super simple, but it was just a great way to use those leftover pieces. And for this one I used the square ones, but you could also use the little plus sign crosses too. I used a balloon string from the birthday balloon greeting stamps and dies that were released in September for Lil Inker's 5th birthday. It made a perfect little tail. And then I also used one of the dies in that stamp set. Die set. It has several different balloon dies in it, and I just placed it on top of my white cardstock, and it cut out that little notch just like a balloon would have. Super, super simple. So that also came from Lil Inker Designs die. This little word sentiment down here is from the Teacher Talk stamps. It says, "You're awesome." And this is a set that has apples and things for teachers, but it's also perfect for all kinds of different occasions. And this being one of them was a nice generic sentiment to go along with this shaker card. And then the last one, there's other ideas that you can use too, but the last one was, this time instead of using the little square and rectangle pieces that were left over, I wanted to use the little pluses. So I came up with this card. This is a sentiment from a set that was released previously, but then I used the little plus signs, little crosses at the bottom of my card going up, kind of creating a flow, just as a little bit of a decoration. And I think it's just a simple way to use up again some of those pieces and to add some little fun to a card. And then of course this is Little Inker Designs Ombre Chevrons paper pad. And if you don't have these ombre paper pads, you really should check them out. They are just beautiful. Lots and lots of fun colors. So many varieties that you could use. I use this one just a little piece down the side, and it just adds the perfect amount of detail. And I just really have enjoyed using these paper pads. So that's all I have for you today, and I hope this gives you some ideas on how you can use this die, and thank you for joining me.